starting with I'm sorry, making yourself less than before you even say what you want to say. I don't think that I was aware even of how much that was in my way.
My Jericho.
Chrissy Gardner, she, her. So I grew up playing classical piano from the time I was in first grade. And I got into like musicals and plays and things like that. Yeah, and I loved doing that. I thought I was going to be an actress. And then when I went to school, I ended up not initially doing that in college. I was like an economics major, and then I transferred in the middle of college because I felt like, no, there's something I'm missing. And I went to school for theater at Muhlenberg College in Pennsylvania. Got into directing. And then I still had like this oh, there's something else I want to be doing. You know, always in the back of my mind was music, but I couldn't figure out because I grew up playing classical and I knew that wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. And I knew that I didn't really want to be in theater either. And now it's sort of all come together. I do all of it. But see, I was in New York for September 11th. So I had moved there a week before. So I was standing there when it happened. Oh. That was life-changing. That was definitely life-changing. I actually really wonder what would have been different about my life. Because I was just out of college, I was with 3 other roommates, and we all literally showed up. We got our apartment because of the beautiful view of the Trade Center, and it was 3 roommates or friends from college, and it was really genuinely terrifying. But all of us ended up going off in a different direction because of that. All of my friends just decided, no, I'm not doing theater. I don't know how that. I think it's because it was too not secure or something. Anyway. I was at a law firm that year and did assistant directing, and then I ended up in Chicago, and then I got a job at a little bar called Davenport's Piano Bar and Cabaret, where you had to waitress or bartend, and then in the middle of your shift, there was a piano player there, and you had to get up and you had to sing. So it got me totally past my nerves, because I was initially, right before I started that place, I was in a band for the first time, which is the first time I wrote music. It was called Dental School Swim Team. And I just sung, and then I did a few many open mics with a guitar, which is not my primary instrument. My primary instrument is piano, but I did it with a guitar. Very first open mic, swear to God, somebody from the back of the room went, "Take off your shirt." I mean, it was really one of those really great, you know. If you want to talk about sexism in the music, that was literally the first open mic I ever did. I was like, okay, so this is what I'm in for. Yeah. And then I was so nervous. I dropped my guitar, I cracked it. It was really bad. But then I got this job, and because I was waitressing and had to get up and sing, I got past the nerves, because it was there weren't time for nerves, if that makes sense. Yeah. And then there was a guy there who actually ended up being a runner-up in America's Got Talent. His name was Eli Matson. He was a really, really, really talented singer-songwriter. Still is. He was playing at this piano bar at the time, and he taught me how to play off the page, because I always grew up playing classical music, and he taught me how to do just chords and by ear. But I couldn't even slightly wrap my mind around that until I met him. So we'd stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning after the place closed. And he at some point looked at me and said, "This is what you should be doing, period." And I don't think I ever looked back from that point. And then they gave me my own night, and I had 5 songs that I repeated over and over again. But every Wednesday night, Whiskey Wednesday, I did, and I got better and better and better at learning other people's music and playing it, and playing for 3-hour gigs. And I still do that. But that allowed me to open my mind to creating more of my own music.
Sounds like you were a performer first, and then
yes,
the writing was just kind of to help out with that. And then
that's true.
Because for most people, it's the other way around, and they're like, "Oh, I guess I should perform now."
Oh, you think? Oh, yeah, it's probably true.
A lot of people performing is the part that they had to learn and work through.
Right.
But it sounds like that was the part that just was natural to you.
That's true. Never thought about it that
really
way. That is true. Now I have to say that the writing piece is probably my favorite part.
Yeah. When you were starting out, what did you struggle with the most?
Confidence. Nerves, genuine nerves, shaking, literally shaking. I really did drop my guitar because I was shaking so bad. Second open mic I did, swear to God, second open mic I did, I knocked over the microphone stand because I was shaking so much. It was really, I had a real it was really bad. It was really bad. And I don't experience that anymore, thank God. And then I found my stride somewhere in there. When I started writing, then I totally found my own voice, I guess.
As a woman in a male-dominant industry,
yes,
what sort of challenges have you faced?
It's kind of been the primary challenge. I mean, next to nerves. I don't think that I was aware even of how much that was in my way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even, that's the problem with systemic stuff, right? You're not even, you're so in it, you don't even know that, like, I wasn't valuing my own voice and my own opinion. You know, that's probably, I mean, there's been sexual harassment. I still that's a kind of a regular thing I have to figure out when I do gigs. Those things are more just blatant and kind of a little bit easier to deal with, in the sense of like people inappropriately sitting next to me at a gig and then hugging me and stroking my hair, or, you know, that kind of a thing. Oh my God, I went to this thing. I'm trying to get into licensing music. Have you heard of Taxi?
No.
Okay, so it's just this organization that tries to educate people about licensing and tries to hook you up with music supervisors and things. Anyway, I went with a girlfriend of mine 2 years ago, and we walk in, and it was in California. We walk in, and it's like a sea of men. We're like, oh boy, okay, you know, that's already that thing all the time. We go to introduce ourselves to the guy who's the president of the organization, because he had chosen 2 of my songs to use for something, and I think I was the only girl on the list he chose, so I wanted to just introduce myself. And the first thing he says is to the guy that he's talking to, you see, it's great being in my position because you get these hot chicks to come and talk to you, but I'm coming to talk to him about music, right?
Yeah.
The second thing he says is a joke about a gynecologist. That was like, just, you know, it's like that immediate. I'm like, oh my God, it's maddening.
Oh,
but,
God.
you know, that's the first thing they see. One time I started playing the piano, but I hadn't opened my mouth to sing yet. And there was a curtain, there's like separating this lounge, and this guy comes out from around, and he said, oh my goodness, it's a woman playing the piano. I can't wait to go tell them that it's a woman playing the piano. Like, as if it was like shocking that it could be a woman, you know? And I said, yeah, I can vote too. It's like those things like that. People often make comments more about, sometimes men, you know, what I'm wearing. That's another thing, is like when I got pregnant, it was like, well, you're done.
Yeah.
I know, that was the feeling, you know. And I remember being in a studio with like 10 other men going like, well, who's raising your kids? You know, like, why, you know, that feeling of like, why, the reason that we get stopped so often is that too. And that can't happen anymore. Like, there has to be a way that men step up, but yeah. Because there's also that, a feeling of like, oh, well, by the time you're 30, you're done. You know, that kind of a feeling, you know, since you're a girl. Guys don't feel that way. To me, that's the least of it. The biggest thing that I've come up against is more my own, not realizing that because there were no role models that I really had other than like Madonna, Carole King. Like, I'm trying to think of women that I was like, oh wow, they're amazing and they seem to be empowered. It's not like there was role models in terms of producers. You look at every band, all the drummers, guitarists, keyboard players, bass players, they're all men. It's probably a guy that wrote the song, you know, a pack of men that wrote the song. It's guys that produced it. It's guys that, you know, helped her figure out what to wear. Most of the women you're hearing. But it's all coming through this male lens, and that matters. You can write something, but then you walk into the studio with a bunch of men. Producers, it's 47 to 1. 47 men to 1 woman. So I don't know that people that are listening to music understand that, how big that piece is, because then the lens through which everything goes is still a male perspective. I think there's very few men that, whether or not they could be totally well-meaning, but I've just had so many experiences where they're, I can't hear what I'm saying, or they don't, even though I wrote the songs, they don't take my opinion into account in the room. You know, I've been in really big studios, multi-million-dollar doing things, you know, and feeling like, oh, I got here, and then feeling like I don't have a voice. I went out with my boyfriend in New York recently, and we saw 3 bands, and they were all men. And I was thinking, if we had gone out and we saw 3, first of all, it never happens that you see an all-girl band unless it's an all-girl band.
Yeah,
right. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's like, I would have been annoying him probably if I took him to see 3 girl bands, like then when it's like a chick night. It's like, yeah, you're looking at most of the music industry, at least what's coming through the mainstream stuff, is all the women are sexualized. So then, I mean, I know in the beginning, that's kind of the game I was playing. Like, you kind of end up playing into that and flirting with the men that you're, you know what I mean? Because you think that's the role, not consciously, but that's like the thing that I would like fall into in the very beginning, in my 20s or whatever, you know. and sort of like falling into the cutesy role or the victim role or I don't know what I'm doing role, you know? And that means that I'm a part of the problem too, right? But not unknowingly. And some of the men that I've worked with have been amazing, but then some don't even know. They're not hearing what I'm saying. But what I can look back and go now, or understand now, is that I didn't have my voice. Like I didn't have the ability to say, no, we're going to do it this way because this is the way that I want to do it. Like one of my favorite quotes is that there's like that the truth is silent, and that once you get to the point where you actually are guiding your own ship and are letting all of those things go, or just actually listening to the sound of your own voice and following your own intuition, then you really don't even need to fight anymore. It just is. Like I can look at myself in those situations, which there's thousands and thousands of times I know for sure that I've been quiet when I didn't need to be quiet. And therein was the problem. That I was being quiet, you know, or that I wasn't speaking up, or that I just was like, okay. Or how many hundreds of times I've said, either in rehearsals or studios or whatever, I'm sorry, but I'd like to hear blah, 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 blah. You know, like starting with I'm sorry, making yourself less than before you even say what you want to say, instead of going, I hear it this way, or I'd like to take into account what you're saying, and then take that into account, and then make a decision, and then that's just a decision. Because when it's my money and my music, and you know, then that's what it needs to be. But it took a long, really long journey to figure that out. Even especially since this #MeToo thing happened, which is thanks to your generation, that's informed us, because there really was a moment that I know that we all had that we went, yeah, why aren't we doing something about this? Like it woke us up too to like, you know, I think when people talk about like the Me Too thing or sexual harassment, or they're thinking it's just these like egregious acts. Yeah. It's like, no, it's every part of the relationship, but you know. But now I feel like that I feel empowered in that way. All those things it doesn't matter. I don't have any anger left. Everybody's just sort of a part of this system, this patriarchal system, without being aware of it. And some people wake up to it and some don't. And I'm including women in that, like that we had to wake up too. Like now what I would do is if there was somebody that wasn't able to hear me, no matter what I say, then I just wouldn't work with them. Period. And that's that, you know, and you just move on to the people. Like, it's like, if that's the case, well, hopefully someday they'll wake up, bless them, let them go. You know what I mean? And then move on to somebody it's not a problem. I mean, all the men I work with now are wonderful. It's not, you know, especially in these last year or two, I don't feel it anymore. It's not. And also, I know so much now. I have so much more to learn, but there's a threshold I crossed over where it's like, sound guys are not speaking a different language anymore. I know what they're talking about because I do it too. I have like this total dream with this new band, Sister Willow. We want to develop an online course for women, like with all just the basics of gigging. Things that we wish somebody had told us, because so many times if you go to a venue and there's a PA and there's a sound man, it's always a sound man for the most part. It's often not nice, and you feel like stupid asking questions or, you know, whatever.
What do you do when that initial inspiration like has happened and then you get to a place where you're stuck and you don't know what else to do with the rest of the song?
I have one that I just, for the very first time, it's called Little Lady, that I wrote 15 years ago and never felt like I totally got it right. And I've played it in various forms and just recently with Sister Willow, it all came together and it was like, that's finally it.
Wow.
I can look at like that song Little Lady and go, oh, well, it just wasn't ready to totally come out. And I think that I needed to live more life before it was complete.
Wow.
So just letting it go was a good idea. You know, just letting it be.
Unbind me, that I may lose hold of these walls.
Hey, my name is Maggie. I'm the creator of Girls Who Write Songs, and this is the 4th interview I've done so far. I just want to ask that if there's anyone these interviews remind you of, maybe a songwriter or a woman who you know, that you should share this with them. And while you're at it, why not like and subscribe? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.